Hi guys, I'm Rex King, and this is a little bit different than what I usually do. As you all have heard at this point, Alan Arkin, one of my favorite actors of all time, passed away on Friday. And I wanted to do a couple videos uh, honoring one of the best actors to ever grace the silver screen. So I'm going to start with this video, which will go over 8 movies that I believe showcase what Alan Arkin brought to the table, and also kind of serves as recommendations for people who want to go out and see some movies to remind us of one of the greatest talents. It's only going to be 8 films because uh, later on, I'm going to be doing 2 reviews of his 2 best works as far as I'm concerned. So that's why this isn't a full 10 list. Without further ado, let's get into some of the rules here. The rules are quite simple. Alan Arkin has to play a significant role in these films. Um, and as usual, these are just my opinions. These aren't even necessarily the greatest films he's in. These are just the films that I believe showcase what Arkin brought to the table as a performer. Also, I'm going to be only focusing on what Arkin really did in the film. I'm not going to really be talking a ton about the um, overall plots and any of the other important things about the movies. And finally, this isn't a top 8 or top 10 list. I'm not going to be doing rankings. I'm just going to go in order of when they were released, starting with the earliest released all the way to what I consider to be the most recent film that showcased his talent. And that's because I don't feel like I could really rank these performances, even if I tried. So, without further ado, let's start right off with The Russians Are Coming, The Russians Are Coming. So, The Russians Are Coming, The Russians Are Coming was Alan Arkin's breakout role. He plays the second in command of a submarine that runs aground off the coast of a New England island, and him and a group of Russians go ashore to try to find a boat to get their submarine off the shoreline so it won't cause an international incident. Obviously, shenanigans happen from there. This is not only the breakout role for Alan Arkin, but it also got him his first Oscar nomination. And it's very clear to see what made this role so good for Alan Arkin. He manages to convey his comedic style quite well. He has enough wit, and he even has a couple interesting dramatic moments. And the film doesn't take itself seriously, and that kind of benefits what Arkin brought to the table. Next up, we have Catch 22. This is probably the first film that Arkin was really the star of that really showcased what he could do as an actor. Um, he was it's both a good comedic role and a very good dramatic role, and it's a very dynamic character. Arkin plays this um, pilot who wants to stop flying missions, but he can't because they keep extending the amount of missions you have to fly before you can stop flying them, and he tries to get himself qualified as insane. The problem is you can't ask to be qualified as insane because you won't be considered insane. But you also can't. You have to ask in order to be qualified as insane. So it's very much of a no-win scenario for him. So he has to keep flying these flights, and it's a very dramatic story towards the end. But there's a lot of good funny moments too, and it shows both sides of what Arkin could do. I'm going to follow this up with Freebie and the Bean. This is probably one of the lesser known movies I'm going to be talking about. Arkin plays a police detective who has a partner, and they are trying to take down this very powerful drug lord, and pretty much is your standard cop story, but it's very funny. it shows Arkin and playing off other actors who are just as good as he is, and it just shows what he was able to do when paired with very strong talent as well. So he didn't like get drowned in the background. Then you have Full Moon High, and I can already hear the confusion. Like I said, these aren't necessarily the best films he's ever been in. Full Moon High is an example of him being in a terrible movie, but still being a good performer. Here he plays a much more lesser role as a psychiatrist who's brought in to examine the central werewolf, and the fact that this film is just absolutely bonkers lets Arkin play as much as he wants to, and it works so well for the center plot and showcases what Arkin can do even in a very bad film. Then we have Coupe de Ville, and again, this is Arkin kind of showing what he can do as a supporter role, as he plays the father of the three guys who are on the road trip in the center of the film. And he's given a couple really good funny moments and a couple really good dramatic moments, and he manages to convey such wonderful chemistry and such wonderful wit, even when the three center performers are definitely blowing the film out of the water as far as comedy goes. But he manages to still stand out, which is just an amazing thing to do. Then you have 13 Conversations About One Thing. So I've actually talked about this film. I have done a review on it on my Monday Night Movie series before it became From the Archive. And my opinions stand. And as I stated in that particular film review, Alan Arkin as a dramatic performer is underlooked, and this film showcases what he can do as a dramatic performer. And he manages to get us emotionally invested in his story, as his story is one of the standouts in 13 Conversations About One Thing. In a film that's very much episodic and has a bunch of different things going on, he manages to really steal the show when he's on screen. Next we have probably the most well-known film that he's ever been in, Little Miss Sunshine. And this is the film that not only gave him a nomination for an Oscar, but he actually won it. And it's pretty obvious to see why. His performance here is so heart-wrenching as the grandfather of the group. And you manage to laugh when he's being funny, but cry when he inevitably dies. You feel everything for this character, and you definitely are sad to see him exit the film prematurely. And without Arkin's performance, I think this character could have been very one note, but he manages to convey such an array of emotion, and I really enjoyed that. And then his most recent performance that I'm going to be talking about is Argo. Argo, he's not in the film for very long. I think his total screen appearance totals about like 20-25 minutes. And he isn't the most important character. He's not, I don't even think he's based off a real person, unlike the rest of the characters in the film. But he is like the funniest part of the movie. He manages to be very uplifting, and he manages to like bring a smile, and he causes me to laugh like crazy whenever he's on screen in this movie. He does a lot with very little, and he's quite easily one of the best parts of Argo. And Argo is a good movie. It just, Arkin is easily what elevates that movie to be so good, as his performance was stellar. And that's one of the unfortunate things that causes from the fact of the news Friday. We have lost a brilliant performer, and he will be missed in the industry. Now, like I said, I'm going to be covering two other movies. I'm going to be covering Wait Until Dark and The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. Both movies, I believe, showcased Arkin at his finest. And I want to cover those two movies in their own videos because I feel like they deserve their own videos. So this week I will be posting my review of Wait Until Dark. If you were really looking forward to my Dread review, don't worry. I will inevitably get to that. It's just going to be a couple more weeks as opposed to just doing it this week. Anyway, that's what I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Who knows? I might do more videos like this in the past. And like I said earlier, my thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Alan Arkin. He will be missed. Anyway, I'm Rex King, and I'll see you next time.